I'm Maggie.
Hi, I'm Mark, and this is...
Spatial Report. Welcome to the Esri Canada podcast that connects our user community with the latest and coolest trends in the world of ArcGIS. On today's show...
ArcMap has entered mature support. We'll discuss what this means to you as the retirement of ArcGIS Desktop approaches.
Then our newest GeoGeek gives us lowdown on what's new in the latest release of ArcGIS Online.
And the battle for the winner's circle ignites again with another edition of M vs. M.
We've got something old and we've got something new on today's podcast, so let's talk about it. So, Mark, it's my favorite time of year. Do you know why? Yeah, it's a tough one. It's randomly in March. You know, it's because the sun's finally back. It's been the grayest winter ever. I feel like I've never seen the sun. You can not relate because I know you don't leave your condo, and also there's never sun where you live. But
there's always darkness in my life. That is true.
We love the sun over here in beautiful Ontario, but that's not really the key. The key is it's time for the best sports part of the year, March Madness.
Ooh, you're a March Madness fan. I had no idea. Do you fill out brackets and do all that stuff?
Oh, for sure. I don't watch any college basketball outside of March, but you know, it's still fun to pick your teams and it's completely random. We do it with my family, and even my dog gets involved 50-50 every time. Just tap the hand with the team you want, you know, and she does pretty well.
Oh, well, probably better than most gamblers, I'm assuming. Do you even know? Do you even know where Gonzaga is?
No, but I do always pick that team. My meta is I pick all the Catholic schools because I went to Catholic school. Doesn't usually work out, but they do pretty well.
They do pretty well, and it is a fun tournament. Actually, I'm more excited about the women's tournament this year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's true. I have always watched that too. You know, with the UConn winning last year for the men's, it was always UConn for the women's growing up. But Hamilton's a basketball town, so we all love basketball here, and I'm excited to get watching. Do you watch as well?
No, actually, I don't really watch it that much. I kind of follow it because, you know, it's on Twitter a lot, and people are kind of bouncing the ball around. But yeah, I can't say I'm a big fan, to be honest.
Well, basketball's getting me Mappy, but obviously not that Mappy for you. So what's keeping your spirits up at this time of year?
All right. Well, what's making me Mappy this month? Okay, so we have these short GeoSnap videos that we're making. If you haven't seen them yet, you can go onto the Esri Canada YouTube channel, and you can see these little 2-minute-ish instructional videos. We kind of highlight one cool thing about ArcGIS that you can do, and I've been working on an actual series of GeoSnaps that should be released by the time you listen to this. And it's on edited related records in the map viewer. So I know we've mentioned this a couple of times in the podcast, and I know it was a big deal when this first came out in ArcGIS Online. But we really wanted to put some videos together to kind of walk you through the process of how to build it from beginning to end. So you'll see in this series, we're going to start in ArcGIS Pro. We're going to set up the data. We're going to build a relationship class, and then we're going to publish that into the web as a new web layer. And then finally, we'll actually build a form in the map viewer to help you make those edits of those related records. So hopefully you'll be able to watch those videos. Again, check out our GeoSnaps on our YouTube channel.
Wow, sounds pretty exciting. I love the GeoSnaps, but I also need to brush up my related record skills, so I'll be watching those for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so we need to know what is making you Mappy this month, Maggie Sampson.
Well, it's nothing very new, but it's something that's definitely that I like to work with, and it's going to be ArcGIS Online as well, focused. But I'm no cartographer. My maps don't look great. Don't look too close. I just sort of get the data on there, and things fall apart at that point. But in ArcGIS Online, they have some really great features, some effects that you can use to make your things look a lot better, and I'm really loving working with those. My favorite for sure right now are the drop shadows. Love to make those things pop out of the map. You can just add a shadow and all of a sudden everything looks so much better. Your feature's just sort of floating there and it looks really good. And even with no real cartographic skills, you can make something that looks impressive. But I also like the hue rotation or hue rotate because I work a lot with like bivariate choroplus, and it's a ton of different colors on the map. There's only a few options for the color ramps that you can choose. So if you just want to make a little tweak here and there, you can rotate the hue to get the colors looking a little bit better with whatever you've got going on in your dashboards or other apps that your maps are embedded in. So not new, but I definitely recommend people take a look at those effects in Map Viewer if you want your maps to look a little better, like I did, because I know mine can use some help.
It is really incredible to think how much advancement has been made in terms of cartography and ArcGIS Online. I mean, before you only had some basic colors and basic symbols, and now you have a whole wealth of choices that you can make to make your maps really pop online. So that's a really good one. I really love that, Maggie.
Great, thanks, Mark. Yeah, I definitely need those extra tools. So good one to check out. That's what's making us happy right now. But coming up next, we're going inside the Arc to learn more about what's happening with Mark's old friend, ArcMap. On March 1st, ArcMap entered the mature support phase of the product lifecycle. This marks the last milestone before the upcoming retirement of ArcGIS Desktop. For ArcMap users, now is a great time to plan your transition to ArcGIS Pro.
To help us understand what this all means for those who are still using ArcMap, we are joined by our good friend Erica Morra. She is the director for product management at Esri Canada, and that's a pretty fancy title, Erica. I love it. Welcome to the podcast.
I like that title too. Thank you. um, Thanks again for inviting me to chat with the both of you today. I'm really happy to be here actually.
Well, we're happy that you're here because we have a really important topic. And as Maggie mentioned, this month is an important one in the life of our desktop software. So maybe start by sharing with us what is happening and basically why are you here?
Absolutely. So, I mean, Esri has always been focused on delivering the very best GIS software. So, and that journey began decades ago, right? With ArcInfo Workstation, then followed by ArcView, and then I think it was 1999, right? I think there was a Prince song named after it. We made this huge leap forward, right, with the release of ArcMap, not Prince's song. So 25 years ago. And then after that, an even huger leap forward with ArcGIS Pro, building on the whole web GIS paradigm. So why am I telling you all of this? Well, as you stated at the beginning of our chat today, just over 2 years ago, the final release of ArcMap was released, and we've all known from that time that ArcMap is nearing the end of its very long life. I remember attending the virtual Dev Summit that year, talking to developers about their migration plans for any custom add-ins that they built for ArcMap, applications built with ArcGIS Engine, which is like a standalone version of ArcMap, and thinking, wow, this is really big. Fast forward to present day, next month marks a really significant milestone in the product lifecycle when it enters the mature support phase, which is a really important from a support perspective. So to ensure that our customers are using the very best tooling we have to offer, now is the time for the next phase of their desktop GIS journey, which is ArcGIS Pro.
Absolutely. It's time to go to ArcGIS Pro. And we know ArcGIS Pro isn't new anymore. It's been around for a while. But for people who are concerned, is it capable of doing everything that it would have been able to do in ArcMap?
So Pro was released 9 years ago, right? So in the technology world, that's like 9 dog years, right? Jokes aside, what I'm saying is that ArcGIS Pro is a mature product. It's not a new product, right? It is in a ready state to replace ArcMap. And in many cases, its capabilities go way beyond what's achievable with ArcMap. But having said that, we know that there are folks out there that probably have not migrated to ArcGIS Pro because ArcMap suits their workflows just fine today. But it's really, really important for those customers to begin their ArcMap to Pro journey now so we can uncover any gaps and address them.
Right. Yeah. This reminds me a lot when I was at Esri Inc. and ArcMap first came out in '99, and people were still using ArcInfo Workstation and then an ArcView, and that transition. They had their specific workflows, and how could you migrate it over? So we're kind of saying, going through the same song and dance again. Um, I really found it interesting what you said about specific workflows. So I know there's a lot of ArcMap users that say that their workflows and ArcMap are working and they don't really need to make the migration. So how should they approach this transition towards ArcGIS Pro?
I would say just start familiarizing yourself with the vast self-help resources that have been created over the past years, several years, right? And also just playing with the new Pro UI, right? The look and feel is so much different compared to ArcMap, and I think, this is the hurdle that I encountered when I first started working with Pro. And be open to exploring new, different ways for solving the same problems with GIS, because in many cases, there is a one-to-one replacement for some common tools and workflows, but in other cases, Pro does things completely different. So you'll have to kind of embrace a different approach. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I know it could be scary for sure, but it's not that bad. Even I made a transition. I used ArcMap for I used it for 2 years in school. I didn't want to change, but it was not so difficult. And there's so many self-help resources, as you mentioned. It just means you got to start. But the actual UI is different, and some of the tools might be different. It's not the only difference that people will notice with ArcGIS Pro. We know that they've also introduced a different licensing model. Could you speak a little bit to what that different model looks like and how it might impact users and how they work with GIS?
hmm So what you're referring to there is what is generally called the named user licensing model. Sometimes, I mean, we've called it different things over the years, but so the other term you may have heard is the identity model. It sort of means the same thing. I would say that it's debatable in calling it new,
Yeah.
new for some. It may require an adjustment for some customers. But it's certainly not new. But for customers who may have started out with ArcMap, or started out, and made the transition to Pro with some of those kind of legacy licensing models in place, right? Certainly, it's going to take a little while to kind of warm up to. Um, and really, there are some like fundamental differences here, right? So, with concurrent use and single use licensing, right, like we are handing out software licenses to machines, right? And machines are nameless, right? We don't know what they do, what are their jobs to be done. But with a named user model that's tied to your specific credentials, it's is also tied to a persona, like your persona as part of the ArcGIS system, right? So, and with the named user model, we're really tailoring the software and its capabilities to people, right? And the type of work that they need to do with the software all across the system, and not just with Pro.
Yeah, I always kind of liken this to Microsoft Office, right? Now you have your name associated with it, so you can access that on any machine, and you have full access to the whole suite of software. So I kind of find that very similar to what we do in ArcGIS. Now I know there's a lot of people out there that are kind of thinking to themselves, is ArcGIS Pro the only option when it comes to replacing work done in ArcMap?
Certainly not. I mean, I would say that as part of exploring the capabilities of Pro, you may also want to look at some of the advancements, particularly with ArcGIS Online, the map viewer in ArcGIS Online, or some of the new instant apps. That we've built for purpose for specific types of workflows. It may be that one of those apps, right, those web based apps may suit your needs better than migrating completely to Pro. So I think it's a good time to kind of explore what is in the system, and seeing if there's a more appropriate choice for you.
Absolutely. I find I'm spending more than half of my time in ArcGIS Online now, using Pro a lot less than I ever did before. So it's important to definitely take a look at what's available, because there's so much more than just a one-to-one replacement. So thanks for highlighting that, Erica.
Mhm.
And we covered a lot of stuff today already, and it's a big topic. But if you could just, as we always do when we wrap up these conversations, remind our listeners of three things or three key points that they should remember when thinking about this process of the ArcMap retirement.
Mhm. The one thing that I haven't talked about yet is with ArcGIS Pro, it actually has quite a more heavy expectation of hardware, right? So make sure that you meet the system requirements, right? Like, so the machines that you have that you were running Pro can actually, sorry, that you were running ArcMap can actually run Pro, right? And if not, maybe look at some other apps like Instant Apps or Map Viewer, right, as an interim replacement. So that would be the first thing to check. The other thing is embrace the ribbon in Pro's contextual interface. Don't fight it like I did. It took me so long to wrap my arms around Pro. Start playing with the software, right? Using, they have like these wonderful built-in getting started tutorials just to kind of get your feet wet, right? Take training. There's tons of training available if you need to ramp up more quickly. And like I said before, report those functionality gaps to technical support. So I think that was two, but a lot of things in two. The third thing I would say is around the named user licensing. So if this is new to you, and if you're a customer who's accustomed to managing your users, right, with single use, concurrent use licensing, um, I would start looking at some of the. We actually have some a story map that you yourself built, Maggie, about the benefits of the named user model. Have a look at that story map, that to kind of bring you up to speed to the benefits of the named user model and using Pro as a connected GIS to the ArcGIS system. This really is the path forward for licensing ArcGIS technology across the system. So that would be the third thing.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Erica. And before we let you go, we did also want to, is there anything you want to talk about anything people can do to keep up to date with these things and what's going on in the technology?
Yeah, absolutely. You can subscribe to our Getting Technical newsletter. That's one thing. But yeah, if you just go to, I think it's on our website, you can set up your communication preferences and it automatically lands in your inbox.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today. That was Erica Morra, Director for Product Management at Esri Canada, and she joined us today from Whitby, Ontario.
And one more shameless plug, we are planning a series of webinars over the next few months highlighting the transition from ArcMap. And it begins on March 21st with Embracing ArcGIS Pro, Understanding Innovations and Capabilities in ArcGIS Pro. That's going to be presented by Hong Hong Lee and some guy that wears a lot of hockey jerseys. So tune in for that on March 21st. But up next, we'll connect with our GeoGeek to learn more about what's shaking in ArcGIS Online.
From navigating everyday obstacles to tackling the most pressing issues facing our world today, tune in to Geographical Thinking to discover how geospatial solutions can help solve problems and drive positive change. My name is Michelle Brake, and I'll be your guide as we explore stories, ideas, and conversations through the lens of geography. Listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform.
It's now time for the GeoGeeks, our regular segment where we bring in a subject matter expert to tell us what's noteworthy in one of our core ArcGIS products.
And we're thrilled to welcome our newest GeoGeek. He's not a new voice on this podcast. Brandon Wheatley was one of our very first guests, and now is our resident ArcGIS Online GeoGeek. Brandon, welcome to the Spatial Report family.
Hey, Maggie. Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to have us with you, and we're excited to have you on more regularly on these episodes. So since it's your first podcast as a GeoGeek, we want the audience to get to know you a little bit better. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to Esri Canada?
Yeah, great question. Nice to meet everyone. I actually started my journey in GIS in the paper map industry. So I was actually get to be a cartographer for a few years, made some paper maps that hopefully a few of you have used in your road trips. And decided to make the jump over to the digital world. And I met some Esri folks and built some relationships through the Community Maps program. And that's how I got my start over in Community Maps. And here I am now working on the tech marketing team with both of you. And I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, we're excited that you are a part of this podcast. And now let's kind of get down to business because you're the ArcGIS Online GeoGeek, and we know that ArcGIS Online just had a recent release in February 2024. So there's a bunch of changes out there. Probably the biggest thing that's front and center with online is the map viewer. So why don't you give us some ideas of what changed in the map viewer in this latest release?
Yeah, you're right. There was a series of updates here. A few little things to note with the map viewer. Not any huge changes overall, but certainly some things to make note of depending on how you're using the map viewer. The first, there's been some updates to the sketch layers. So sketch layers have always been a great way to help give your map some additional context. And now you can work with them a little bit easier, being able to select them through the properties pane to either edit them, duplicate them, help make more of them throughout your map, all while being able to preserve symbol properties and pop-up information as well. One of the coolest ones might be for those of you leveraging who've been using media layers. So any type of like JPEG or PNG type of images can now be saved as individual items. So one media layer will get created per item. This will also help to preserve your georeferencing info or any blending or visual effects you may have added to that image. So no longer do you need to add the media layer to a map, save your map in order to hold on to that image. Media layers have grown up now. They can stand on their own. So now you can easily save them and even add them to any of your existing maps as well. And kind of one more thing to note with the map viewer is being able to make custom web styles. So any of those using ArcGIS Pro, you can publish your own web styles into the map viewer for any of your 2D symbology for your points, lines, or polygons. Those are probably three notable things that are new in the map viewer with this update.
Wow, that's great. Thanks, Brandon. I especially love that ability to make those web layers. It's sometimes I'm a little slower at cartography in ArcGIS Online, so great to see that there's a way to use my pro skills and transfer them into online as well. Thanks for sharing that. And then we also, as everybody knows, Mark and I are big fans of ArcGIS Instant Apps. We always talk about how we love them here, and they're definitely one of our favorites. So is there anything new that you can share in the Instant App worlds from this latest update?
Yeah, there's been some updates there as well. So happy to say that that's all three of us then, because I'm also a big fan. And there's two main things I'd love to highlight with Instant Apps. And the first one is the new manager template. So I'm really excited about this. Not so much because I think it's flashy or cool, but I think people will find it really functional. With the rise of all of our SaaS products, more and more people are turning to online or cloud-based solutions to run their analysis and store their work. But I find often people are still turning to classic desktop programs like ArcGIS Pro to perform that kind of data management, doing any quick edits, adding fields, and configuring your data. Well, hopefully the ArcGIS Instant Apps Manager template will make life a little bit easier. And you can do all of those types of edits. It allows you to add, update, and delete features. You can display or edit related records, export out into a CSV, all while being able to view a map, an attribute table, and a details pane on the screen all at once. So I think this is going to be a great way for our users to help manage their data, all while still staying in that online environment. And a great use case I've heard for this one so far is being able to help review Survey 123 submissions. So as those records come in, you can review the results or maybe submissions through a Field Maps smart form. So a great way to continue to use Esri technology on top of Esri technology. It's also giving me very strong Arc catalog vibes. For those of you who leveraged Arc catalog back in the day to help kind of manage and maintain your data, I couldn't help but to feel that way when looking at and using the template. So check that out for sure. And the second highlight to Instant Apps is the language switcher. So I've always kind of felt like one of the main goals of Instant Apps is to put your map in an app as quickly and as easily as possible, right? Why do many click when few click do trick? So one thing that I'm hoping with our Instant Apps is this is going to be even more accessible to our users is now from a drop-down list, you can select the language you'd like to preview or view the application in. And so this is now when authoring your web maps or Instant Apps, you can go in there and you can translate strings for any of your preset text for titles or descriptions and things like that. So no longer do you need to develop or configure multiple apps for different languages. The user will have that all inside one application and make that a lot easier for both sides of using Instant Apps.
Oh man, that is huge, especially here in Canada where we have, a bilingual country. I think that's going to be a big help. So thanks for pointing that out. That's really cool. So I know you went to the Federal GIS conference, and one of the big things they highlighted was ArcGIS data pipelines. But honestly, have no idea what those are. So why don't you give us Cole's notes of what data pipelines are all about?
You got it. Yeah, it's honestly kind of almost comes as advertised. It's a pipeline for your data. So it's a new integration application in ArcGIS Online, just giving users another way to ingest, prepare, and maintain your data. You get to work in a nice handy drag and drop environment, which is my favorite. So for those of you who are out there who are creators or GIS professionals, this gives you a way to connect to a variety of different online data sources, whatever cloud-based databases you may be using, perform some data preparation operations like clean or construct or integrate, and ultimately create hosted feature layers for your data to then be ready to use across the ArcGIS system. But that all sounds great, but really, as I'm curious, what does it do for you, right? Mark, how could you use it, or how could our customers use it as well? Well, kind of like the Instant Apps Manager template, it's another online application to help working with your data and managing your data online a lot easier. Really, you can kind of think of it as a robust ETL tool. And so when using it, I challenge you to open it up or view it online and have it not remind you of Model Builder. I know that's exactly what came to mind for me, and I'm sorry if that ruins the facade for you. It shouldn't. Model Builder is awesome. But I think you would have made the connection anyway. Once you start to see the bubbles, the drag and drop workflow, you can see exactly what's happening. I think it's going to be a great way for our users to manage their data into different formats. And it can be all scheduled as well. So in the online interface as well, if you can set things up on a scheduled routine to keep your data always up to date. Really excited to see the use cases that come out of pipelines.
I absolutely agree. It does look a lot like Model Builder, and I haven't played with it much, but in the first few times trying it out, it's a lot easier than you might think. So definitely recommend people give it a chance. All right, Brandon, ArcGIS Online is a massive product. As we know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in there and a lot of things that happens in every update. But is there anything that really stood out to you that you wanted to shout out from this latest release?
Great question. Yeah, there is at least one other area that I'd love to shine some light on. And since you asked me, I'd be remiss to not mention any of the updates that have come out to the Business Analyst web application. I'd say overall, this is a fairly normal sized step for the ArcGIS Online update, but overall a pretty large leap for the Business Analyst application. Quite a few things have changed and been improved since the last update, starting with the redesigned suitability analysis workflow. So one of the most popular analysis tools in the online application. For those of you that noticed the change that happened with the color-coded map tool in the last update, suitability analysis now has the same enhancements, and not only with how you interact with the tool and the input parameters, but also how you see and the results are displayed on the screen. So you get those super informative infographics along the bottom, which give you some summary statistics about what you've just run, show you some outliers or consistencies in your data, both in a tabular or in a chart format. A really, really cool enhancement to that tool. So I'm excited to work with that some more. Another thing that people may have noticed is hexagons have slowly been introduced in your analysis as another way to help represent your data over evenly spaced areas. And well, they're everywhere now. So you can use hexagons in the color-coded maps tool, in smart map search, or in suitability analysis. So I'm great and happy to see that. There's been some enhancements as well to the points of interest search. So no longer is it just hanging on individual keywords. There's a whole new system in there to work on related keywords through a semantic style search. So any type of related records can also come up. So it's not just going to look for the exact words you type. And of course, the ever-growing library of infographics. I'm always so excited with these updates to see what new infographics are coming out. There's a variety of new ones, as well as featuring the new infographic gallery. So this is available to standard and advanced users, and these are going to be industry and very topic-specific focused infographics to help you tell your stories in greater graphical detail. So just some areas there with the business analyst I wanted to highlight. Thanks for giving me a minute to talk about that.
Shout out BA. I know you had to slip it in there, so Brandon, really appreciate that. A lot of good stuff there. And thank you for joining us on the pod. We can't wait to have you more often on our podcast. So thanks, Brandon, for joining us today.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Maggie. Thanks so much for having me. This is great, and I look forward to chatting again soon.
Fantastic. That was Brendan Wheatley. He is a technical solution specialist with the technical marketing team here at Esri Canada, and he joined us from Toronto.
Coming up next, it's time for me to school Mark once again in our game show, M versus M.
It's time to put on our boxing gloves for another round of M versus M.
The rules are simple. If you get 3 questions right, I suffer the consequences of failure and must read the outro. Ugh, that sucks.
Oh, worse.
But 3 wrong, and I'm the winner as usual. So hopefully that's how it goes. After last month's pitiful performance by both of us, we sucked last month. I'm glad I'm asking the questions this time around. I think I need a break.
Oh, I'm the one on the hot seat. I don't think this is very fair, but okay. We'll give it a try. See how it goes.
I get it pretty easy for you this time. All the questions are going to be 50-50 chance, so you've got a good chance of winning here. So it's a pretty simple game. The theme is what's bigger.
Oh my god!
I'm going to give you 2 places, 2 countries, and you have to tell me which one is bigger.
Bigger in terms of population?
In terms of physical size.
Area
in kilometers squared, because that's the numbers that I have.
Okay.
But you don't have to know how big they are, just which one is bigger. I know we're all familiar with where the countries are on the map, roughly, hopefully. But, sometimes the map distorts how big they actually are. So do you know which of these countries is bigger? And I'm going to start off with one that I think is kind of easy. We'll see. Because I'm sure you probably can find both these places on the map, right? I'm sure. We'll see. Okay, so which is bigger, Mark? France or Germany?
France or Germany?
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say Canada for all of these, but I guess I can't do that.
Well, it's not an option. Canada is a little too obvious, so I'm leaving it out.
France or Germany? I want to say, because I love French food better than German food, I'm going to say France.
You're correct. France is significantly larger than Germany.
Really?
I think it might have included some of the islands that these countries own, but according to my very in-depth research on Wikipedia, France is 6,406,000. Oh no, that's way off. 640,679 kilometers squared. I didn't put the commas in. I hurt myself here. To Germany's 357,114 kilometers squared. So yeah, France is significantly bigger. All right, let's go to some exciting other countries. Question 2. So far, you're in the lead here. All right, we have Poland versus Kenya.
Poland versus Kenya. Boy, that's a really tough one. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say Kenya.
Right again.
Yes!
You're too good. You're correct. Kenya is bigger than Poland. I thought maybe I'd get you because Poland sometimes gets stretched being farther north on those typical Mercator maps, but Kenya is larger by over 200,000 square kilometers than Poland.
Oh, wow. Big difference. Holy cow.
Yeah, Kenya's a pretty big place. All right. I'm not feeling confident. You're already doing 2-0, so I'll try to pick one that I think is a little harder. Maybe you don't know. No, they're all the same. Okay. Let's see. Do you know which is bigger between the Philippines and Italy?
The Philippines and Italy. Boy, the Philippines are all those little islands.
Mm-hmm.
So if you smush them all together, is it bigger than Italy? You know what? I'm going to say it is. Philippines.
Incorrect. Italy is slightly larger than the Philippines. Italy is 301,336 kilometers squared. And somehow, I don't necessarily believe these numbers, but I checked 2 different websites. The Philippines is exactly 300,000 square kilometers. So
wow.
Just slightly different, but the Philippines is a little smaller than Italy. So wrong for that one.
I should have gone with the food angle. I should have went with Italian.
Well, you don't like food from the Philippines? Come on.
No, I like Philippines food, but come on. Carbonara, come on.
Okay, fair. All right. Another question then. We're getting close. I have a chance. Mongolia versus Iran. Which country's bigger?
Mongolia versus Iran. Boy, I can't use the food angle on either of those, to be honest. I am going to say, just because I think this is where the map projection kind of messes with me, because I think Mongolia is bigger.
You're wrong. Iran
What?
is larger than Mongolia. Mongolia gets stretched out being so far north. So it's deceptively large. Iran's a little closer to the equator, so the map size is a little bit truer to size. All right, we're at a deadlock now. So you have one chance to take it, or I'll have to read the outro.
Okay.
So
Now, before you ask this,
Yes.
I just want to state for the record that my record so far in these quizzes. Do you know what the record is so far?
no, but I don't feel like I've read the outro very often.
I am 2 wins, 9 losses. Okay, I don't want to go double digits. All right, it's gonna end right here.
Okay. These ones are pretty similar size, but one of them is slightly larger. So final 2 countries.
Uh-huh.
Turkey versus Chile or Chile.
Wow, really? They're close.
They're pretty close. Closer than some of these other countries.
Chile's all stretched out.
It is all stretched out, but it's very skinny.
Skinny and stretched out. I don't know what that means. I'm going to say, since I've been to Turkey and I love their food, I'm going to say Turkey.
You're right. Turkey is slightly larger than Chile. I thought it might get you on the length, but no, Turkey is bigger. So that's really a bummer, but good job, Mark. Those were kind of hard questions.
They were really hard questions, but finally, victory is mine. So you know
All
what
right.
to do, Maggie.
I'll get it over with. Might as well. Okay. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Spatial Report. Please check out our website at esri.ca/spatial report to learn more about the topics that we covered today. We will also post videos of our interview segments on the Esri Canada YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe to our monthly Getting Technical newsletter that highlights all of the latest news in our technology. This podcast is brought to you by Esri Canada, a technology company that empowers people and organizations by the science of where. We'll be back next month. Until then, happy mapping.